On November 18th, 2024, the Vice President of the ELCA, Imran Siddiqui, posted the following on his official Facebook page. Weekly question: if you were to change the organizational structure of the ELCA, how would you do it? This is not an innocuous question, as the Vice President of the ELCA plays a key role in representing the ELCA, participating in policy decisions, managing church-wide programs, and potentially leading specific initiatives. And the timing of that question is also significant, as the ELCA Church Council had just concluded their several-day meeting the day before. In answer to Siddiqui's question, a respondent gave a list of 10 things. Here's what number 9 on his list said. Eliminate congregational home rule. This means that you need to have an up-to-date, synodically approved constitution to be in the ELCA. VP Siddiqui's response? Great list. Number 9 sounds so mundane, but would be a game changer, especially in the legal sphere. Keep in mind, the Vice President has a law degree. So when he says that something would be a game changer, especially in the legal sphere, you should take him seriously. The significance of the Vice President's response is rooted in what we talked about in an earlier video titled Structural Changes. In that video, we laid out a dilemma the ELCA is facing in its current polity and governance. Let's refer back to our apples and oranges analogy to restate the point simply. Currently, when the ELCA wants to initiate a policy shift in the whole of the denomination, such as a shift that emphasizes oranges over apples, the ELCA has no actual capacity to enforce or mandate this change across the denomination. Why? Because a congregation can ignore the change if the policy does not align with what's stated in their own constitution. This is the home rule issue the Vice President was responding to. And this is seen by some in the ELCA as a problem that needs to be solved. Now, let's return to the context of the Vice President's post. Namely, this was the day after the ELCA Church Council concluded its 3-day meeting. During that meeting, the Council received a report submitted by the Commission for a Renewed Lutheran Church, the group exploring the need for change to the structure and governance of the ELCA. Now, this might seem a little complicated, but it's important information. And if you want to see it for yourself, you can find the documents on our website. There's a section in the CRLC report titled In Consultation Proposals. A possible solution to the ELCA's dilemma, earlier identified as the home rule, is found in that section. It's buried in a footnote, one worth spending a little time on. Of course, footnotes are not the same as proposed change, but they're helpful in giving some insight into the thinking behind the proposed changes, especially when it comes to legal issues. Now, bear with us here, because, as lawyers know, the fine print matters. We'll start by looking at a footnote to a proposed change to the Statement of Purpose section of the Constitution, specifically footnote 10. Recall from our video titled What's Next that whomever is in control of defining the purpose of the congregation controls what the congregation does and does not do. And noncompliance with the Statement of Purpose could subject a congregation to disciplinary procedures. So let's go back to the footnote. It acknowledges the ELCA dilemma, that changes in policy can only be imposed on a congregation if the congregation decides to update its constitution. That means that so long as a congregation does not update its constitution, the mandate does not apply. This would seem to be a problem for those who want uniformity in all congregational constitutions. Now, here's the fine print. Footnote 10 suggests a possible solution that already exists in the Model Churchwide Constitution, Section 9.22. That section provides for specific provisions of the Model Constitution to be imposed on the congregation with or without their consent. To be fair, at this point, the provisions mandated through 9.22 make perfect sense and do not impinge on a congregation's autonomy. They have to do with baptism as a requirement of membership, terminating the call of a pastor or a deacon, and disciplining congregation members. Expanding Section 9.22 mandates that would apply to congregations without their consent would certainly constitute a game changer, as Vice President Siddiqui put it. Currently, that section has not been used to mandate changes in policy or statements of purpose, for example. But the fact that footnote 10 recognizes 9.22 as a way to impose congregational mandates is something to be aware of. To be clear, we're not claiming that this will happen. We're not saying that there's a plan in place to use 9.22 as a way to impose all sorts of mandates on our congregations. What we are saying is that footnote 10 makes it clear that people in leadership positions in the ELCA recognize the difficulty in ensuring congregational compliance with church-wide mandates. And they're identifying one possible tool in their toolbox to help address that perceived problem. If 9.22 is used in this way, it would indeed be a game changer. So why does this matter? What does it have to do with what we've been saying all along? That a shift is happening in the ELCA, away from congregational autonomy. As we noted in a previous video, the ELCA has proposed a radical change to the constitutional amendment process that would forego a lengthy review process by synods and congregations. That's one step in the erosion of congregational autonomy and input. And now, what this footnote may be indicating is that we could see an even greater erosion of congregational input and autonomy. The key in all of this is that the continued shift away from ELCA congregational autonomy is continuing to happen, with no signs of abating.